Hey legends, welcome to a brand new video. Hey guys, it is Here's Rodder's Reviews. I'm your host Rodney Stewart. I know it has been a while and we're going to do a video today on a show that you need to watch. This is probably going to become a regular thing over the weekends, so we'll see how it goes. And we're going to be talking about the Dukes of Hazzard. Absolutely epic show which ran from, I want to say, 1979, the year I was born, started. It ran all the way up to 1985. So as a very, very small child, I can remember the last season, maybe 2 seasons, actually going out on television. And of course, had syndication and that there. It was repeated non-stop for a good few years afterwards. Absolutely brilliant. Now, I have to say, if you only know this version of the Dukes of Hazzard, you're sorely missing out. This does not do the series justice whatsoever. It's a disgrace, this movie. And I think it was Johnny Knoxville, or who was the other guy? You see, that's how bad this movie is. I need to actually look who. Sean William Scott. It was either Johnny Knoxville or Sean William Scott. One of the two of them, actually, a few years after the movie was made, actually got hold of John Snyder, who played the original Bo Duke. Got hold of him and actually apologised for the movie. Now, I should say, before we go any further into this video, I know there's a whole backlash at the moment with the flag that's on the roof of the General Lee car, and I'm not going to get into that. You know, your own opinions are your own opinions. I completely understand it. I have grown up, born and bred in Northern Ireland, so if anybody understands the pain on the backside that flags can represent, it's me. Northern Ireland, from the early 70s, probably before, right up to present day, flags is a huge pain in the backside over here, so we'll just leave it at that. And in all fairness, having grown up watching the Dukes of Hazzard, there was never anything brought up about the flag on the roof of the General Lee until once again this movie was released. I blame this 100% on the whole, the flag in the car is a problem, because there's actually a scene in this movie where they're driving up a street after General Lee gets rebuilt. A flag is put on the roof and the Bo and Luke characters don't know that it's there. Don't know how the heck they missed it, but someone pulls up on the side and gives them abuse for the flag being on the car. So this is where the problem started at, the movie version of the series. But the series itself is absolutely fantastic. It stars Tom Mopat, John Schneider, Catherine Back as Daisy Duke, everybody's first crush, Denver Pyle as Uncle Jesse, who in this series is incredibly different from the one in the movie. Like the movie, Uncle Jesse was a complete stoner. Uncle Jesse in the original series was the family patriarch that really held the family together and promoted real family values and kept Bo and Luke on the path of doing the right thing all the time. It was definitely, the show itself in general really did promote family values, doing the right thing. There was always that element of fighting against the system, but it was a corrupt political and law system within Hazzard County that they were always fighting against. Like the boss hog in the series was always coming up with ideas to do people out of their money, and it was always something similar in every episode. He had come up with a scheme and the Dukes would always have been the way to stop him. And the character of Boss Hogg was a lot more comical within the series than he was in the movie. Not portrayed well at all within the film. James Best in the series as Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane absolute comic genius. Like, when he was on screen in the first series or so, he was a little bit more serious within the first few episodes, probably up to half the series. But as the further on we went, the more they pushed the comic side of Roscoe, and he was absolutely fantastic. And again, when you compare that to the movie, like, that version of the sheriff was just, I don't know what the heck they were thinking of whenever they wrote that. It was just, it's not what a fan of the original series would have wanted in the film. The film just does not do it justice. Like, the basic outline of the story, very similar to what the series was, but it just didn't hit home the way the actual series did. And what other characters we got on here? We always had the deputies in there, like Enos and Cletus, and they were very comical as well. Who else have we? Cooter in there. Cooter, the guy that was always the mechanic that was always rebuilding General Lee whenever it got damaged and whatnot. Fantastic character within the series as well, and he had a lot of really good emotional storylines throughout the series. And again, in the film, that character was just not good. The series was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. You know, again, if the movie is your intro to the Dukes of Hazzard, you're sorely missing out. I would highly recommend you checking out this series. Absolutely fantastic. Each episode had a similar story, but the way that it was done in every episode was just brilliant. And it was family values, doing the right thing, fighting against a corrupt system. And even though the majority of the stories were so similar throughout the entire run of the series from 79 up to 85, it was always something to look forward to. And the stunts that was done in this series was phenomenal. Like, they destroyed so many Chargers in the jumps. And later shows throughout the 80s and 90s, if there was a sequence where a car did a jump, there was usually a landing ramp for the car to come back down on. That was never the case in the Dukes of Hazzard. If they were going to jump a car in this series, they were just, this car's going straight to the scrapyard as soon as we're finished. So if they did a jump stunt in this series, the car was destroyed. And forgive me, I can't remember the exact number of cars they destroyed as far as Chargers go in the General Lee, but it was definitely over 100 at least throughout the series. What the series did suffer for in the last season in particular is because they were running really short on these cars whenever they were hitting into the last series, and they actually started using miniatures for the stunts, which just didn't look good. But at the same time, they were able to push the stunts a little bit further and a little bit more crazy, a wee bit further out there. And as bad as the stunt work looked with the miniatures in the final season, when it was cut together with the story that they were going with, like, Roscoe would be chasing the General Lee. The General Lee would make a manoeuvre and he would veer off the road, had a dirt mound, and then he'd end up under like a water tower somewhere, and then it would cut to Roscoe within a car, and he's like all freaked out, and it was just beautiful. Where the series kind of began to fail was in season 5 of the Dukes of Hazzard. There was a dispute, a contract dispute on Bo and Luke, Tom Wopat and John Schneider, and it was to do with toy sales and that sort of thing. I didn't know exactly what the toy was that started it, but whenever I found out, it was this little play set that came out, and I actually had it as a kid, and the sales that the money that was coming in from the sales of these toys and whatnot that had the images of Tom Wopat and John Schneider on, they weren't getting a cut of that in their contract on the show, and this dispute started just after season 4 aired. And when season 5 began, they were recast until the dispute was settled, and it was two cousins of Bo and Luke that came in called Coy and Vance, and I just want to check their names because I can't recall them offhand right now, but let's see, Coy and Vance Duke were played by Byron Cherry as Coy Duke and Christopher Mayer as Vance Duke. Now, by the time this was all sorted and done and Bo and Luke actually came back into the show, they did a total of 19 episodes out of the 22 episode run of season 5. Now, a lot of people don't look back on Coy and Vance in a favourable light for some weird reason, and we have all the box sets of the series at home here, and season 5 doesn't even have them on the cover of the box set. It just has Daisy Duke on there. And by the time it rolled around and Bo and Luke came back in, personally me, we watched the entire run again about a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point, and I actually really liked those characters. But in saying that, they weren't as iconic and as part of the show that Bo and Luke were, and I don't think that the show really got back on track after Bo and Luke came back. And I think the fact that they were gone for so long kind of, a lot of the hardcore fans from the first 4 seasons kind of fell off the run, and even them coming back at the end of season 5 wasn't enough to actually save the show. So I'm telling you guys, this show is actually, if you haven't seen the Dukes of Hazzard and put the whole carry on with the flag out of it, it doesn't even come into it while you're watching the show. Yes, the General Lee has the Confederate flag on the roof. A lot of people find that offensive these days. I completely get that. Again, born and bred in Northern Ireland, this country has tore itself to shreds from the 70s over 2 flags. It's absolutely insane. But I really don't get the fact that this show has been, to a certain extent, cancelled. It's not been broadcast as much anymore. Here in the UK, we're getting it throughout the day on a channel. But as far as America goes, I don't think it's going out at all, or at least it wasn't going out the last time I had checked. But in saying that, the movie version of the Dukes of Hazzard, there's no problem with that being aired, and of course you've got the same charger with the same flag in the roof. There's no problem with the movie going out, but for some reason the show is going out. And unlike the movie, the show promotes nothing but family values, doing the right thing. It's good, clean family fun. There's nothing in there that's offensive in any way, shape or form, bar the flag. But again, personal preference. If you find that offensive, you don't have to watch the show. But if the movie has been your introduction, you're sorely missing out. The Dukes of Hazzard is a fantastic classic series that I genuinely do believe that this current generation needs to see more of that sort of stuff. So put any problems with the flag out of it and just watch the show for what it is.